Hi guys, sorry to interrupt your viewing, but please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you.
Looking back, I've spent countless nights trying to figure out when things started to fall apart between Lily and me. We were best friends since middle school, practically joined at the hip. We survived awkward phases, ridiculous crushes, and countless sleepovers where we planned our futures like nothing could ever tear us apart. But by the time we graduated high school, everything was shattered, and somehow, I was the villain in a story I didn't even realize was being written. It started like a slow drip, so subtle that I didn't notice it at first. People in school were acting off. At first, it was little things, a classmate ignoring me when I said hi, a friend suddenly too busy to hang out. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I'd done something unknowingly to offend someone. But soon the whispers started. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me, as if the hallways themselves were alive with judgment. "Did you hear what he said to her?" someone muttered as I walked by. "I always thought he was nice." "Guess not." I couldn't figure out what I'd done to earn this sudden ostracism. By the time the rumors reached me, the damage was already done. Apparently, I had brutally rejected Lily when she confessed her feelings for me, humiliating her in front of our entire friend group. Except that never happened. Lily never confessed anything to me. Sure, people had teased us about being too close for years, but she always laughed it off, insisting we were just friends. I didn't question it because, honestly, I never thought of her that way. But now, people were treating me like I was the villain in some cruel romantic tragedy. When I first heard the rumor, I thought it was ridiculous. "That's insane," I told my friend Josh after gym class one day. Lily and I never even had that conversation. "Where is this coming from?" Josh gave me an awkward look, like he didn't want to say the words out loud. "I mean, dude, people are saying it came from Lily herself." My stomach dropped. "What?" He shrugged uncomfortably. "I don't know, man. That's just what people are saying." I confronted Lily after school that day. We met at the park near her house, a place we'd hung out 1,000 times before. She was sitting on the swings, scrolling through her phone like nothing was wrong. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Hey," she replied, barely glancing up. I didn't want to beat around the bush. "So, what's this rumor going around? People are saying I rejected you? That you confessed to me?" Her eyes widened for a split second before she quickly recovered, putting on her usual innocent expression. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said. "People make stuff up all the time. You know how high school is?" Something about her tone didn't sit right with me. She wasn't exactly lying, but she wasn't denying it either. "Lily," I pressed, "you know that's not true. Why would people think that?" She shrugged, her voice suddenly defensive. "Maybe because you've been acting weird lately. People can tell when something's off." "Off? How have I been acting off?" "I don't know," she said, standing up and brushing imaginary dirt off her jeans. "Maybe you should ask them instead of coming after me." And just like that, she walked away, leaving me standing there with more questions than answers. In the days that followed, the rumor only grew. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion about how heartless I was, how I'd led Lily on and then publicly humiliated her. Teachers who once smiled at me in the halls now looked at me like I was a disappointment. Even my closest friends started pulling away, as if being associated with me might ruin their reputation, too. The worst part was that Lily didn't seem to be doing anything to stop it. If anything, she was basking in the attention. I'd see her in the cafeteria, surrounded by people who used to sit with me, their faces filled with pity as she told some version of the story I wasn't privy to. "I don't want to talk about it," she'd say, loud enough for everyone to hear. "It's just really painful, you know? I thought he cared about me." One day, after overhearing yet another conversation about my supposed cruelty, I couldn't take it anymore. I cornered her after class. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded. "Doing what?" she said, her eyes wide with feigned innocence. "You know what? People think I rejected you and made you feel like crap, and you're not doing anything to stop it." "Why, Lily?" Her expression shifted for a brief moment. Guilt? Annoyance? I couldn't tell. But then she said, "Look, I didn't start anything. If people want to make up stories, that's on them. Maybe you should think about why they believe it." Her words stung more than I wanted to admit. I walked away, seething with anger, but also confusion. Had I done something without realizing it? Was there some unspoken expectation between us that I'd failed to meet? By the time graduation rolled around, I was a pariah. Every time I walked into a room, I felt the weight of people's judgment. Even after we threw our caps into the air and said our goodbyes, the shadow of that rumor followed me. I lost friends, my confidence, and a piece of myself that summer, all because of a lie I couldn't disprove. I didn't speak to Lily again after graduation. I thought I'd left that chapter behind me when I left for college, but years later, her name would resurface in the most unexpected way, dragging me back into a mess I thought I'd escaped. And this time, the fallout wouldn't just be mine, it would be hers too. Years passed after graduation, and I did everything I could to leave the small-town drama behind me. College was a fresh start, a chance to reinvent myself. No one there knew about the lie that had ruined my senior year, and I wasn't about to bring it up. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I threw myself into my studies, joined clubs, and even started dating again, though trust was a hurdle I had to climb. Every time someone got close to me, I'd hear the echoes of those high school whispers. What if they believed Lily's version of events? What if they thought I was the type of person who could humiliate someone like that? It was exhausting, but I told myself it didn't matter. I wasn't that kid anymore, and the people who truly cared about me wouldn't fall for lies. Still, every so often, the memories crept in, gnawing at the edges of my newfound happiness. The past came rushing back when I received a friend request on social media from, of all people, Lily. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I hadn't spoken to her since graduation, and as far as I was concerned, she belonged to a chapter of my life I had no intention of revisiting. But the notification sat there, glaring at me like a wound I'd tried to ignore. Against my better judgment, I clicked on her profile. Her life seemed picture-perfect. Married to a guy named Ryan, photos of them traveling to exotic places, endless captions about love and happiness. It was the kind of curated content that made you wonder what was really going on behind the scenes. A part of me wanted to accept her request just to see what she wanted. Did she feel guilty after all these years? Was this her way of extending an olive branch? But another part of me, the part that still remembered the sting of her betrayal, wanted nothing to do with her. I let the request sit unanswered. The real twist came a few weeks later when I bumped into someone I hadn't seen in years, Josh. I was back in town visiting my parents, grabbing coffee at a local shop, when I heard someone call my name. Jason? That you? I turned to see Josh standing there, looking almost exactly the same, but with a few extra pounds and a hint of stubble. Josh, I said, surprised but genuinely happy to see him. Wow, it's been forever. We exchanged pleasantries, catching up on the basics. Jobs, family life after high school. But then, Josh leaned in, lowering his voice like he was about to share some juicy gossip. So, you've heard about Lily, right? He asked. My stomach tightened. What about her? She's going through a messy divorce, he said, clearly enjoying the drama. Apparently, she and her husband are splitting because of you. I blinked, caught completely off guard. Because of me? What are you talking about? Josh smirked. Dude, it's the craziest thing. Ryan, her soon-to-be ex, told people that Lily wouldn't stop bringing you up. Like she's obsessed or something. He got tired of hearing about you and decided to call it quits. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. What the hell? I haven't even spoken to her in years. That's what makes it so wild, Josh said, shrugging. But hey, karma, right? I left the coffee shop in a daze, my mind racing with questions. Why was Lily still talking about me after all this time? And how had my name become a factor in her divorce? For years, I convinced myself that the drama she caused in high school was behind me, that I'd moved on. But now, it was clear that Lily hadn't. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let her deal with the mess she created. But another part of me, the part that still bore the scars of her betrayal, wanted answers. What I didn't realize was that uncovering the truth would lead to more twists than I ever could have imagined. Josh's revelation about Lily's divorce left me shaken. The idea that she'd been talking about me to the point of wrecking her marriage felt surreal, like some twisted plot from a bad drama. I tried to tell myself it wasn't my problem, but curiosity gnawed at me. Why couldn't she let it go? Later that evening, I sat down at my laptop, staring at Lily's unanswered friend request. Against my better judgment, I clicked accept. If she wanted to bring me back into her life, I was going to find out why. It didn't take long for her to message me. Hey Jason, it's been forever. I hope you're doing well. Would love to catch up sometime. The cheery tone felt forced, like she was trying too hard to act normal. I debated how to respond, or if I should respond at all. After a few minutes, I decided to play it cool. Hey Lily, yeah, it has been a while. What's up? Her reply came quickly, almost too quickly. Not much. Just dealing with some stuff, you know. Life has a funny way of surprising you. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. If she was fishing for sympathy, she wasn't going to get it. Yeah, I heard about your divorce, I typed, my fingers hovering over the keys before I hit send. Josh mentioned it. There was a long pause before her response came through. Oh, So you've heard. I could practically feel her hesitation through the screen. Good, I thought. Let her squirm. You said your husband left because of me. Is that true? This time, the pause was even longer. When her reply finally appeared, it wasn't what I expected. It's complicated, Jason. Can we talk in person? There's a lot I need to explain. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. Curiosity, resentment, and a lingering desire for closure all mixed together into a cocktail I couldn't resist. We met at a park halfway between her place and mine. It was eerily similar to the last time I confronted her back in high school, but now we were adults with years of bitterness between us. Lily looked different. Her usually polished appearance was replaced by a worn-out look. Messy hair, dark circles under her eyes, and a nervous energy that made her seem smaller than I remembered. Thanks for meeting me, she said, her voice softer than I expected. Let's cut to the chase, I said, crossing my arms. Why are you bringing me up to your husband? What's going on? She flinched at the directness, but didn't look away. It wasn't like that, she said quickly. Ryan, he's been paranoid for years. He thinks I was in love with you back in high school, and he couldn't let it go. And were you? I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. Lily hesitated, her eyes darting to the ground. I don't know, okay? Maybe I was. But that's not the point. The point is, he's the one who made it into something bigger than it was. He kept accusing me of comparing him to you, of wishing I was with you instead of him. I swear, Jason, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. For years, I'd been angry at her for the lie she told in high school, but now it seemed like that lie had followed her too. Still, I couldn't let her off the hook so easily. You never even apologized for what you did to me, I said, my voice rising. Do you have any idea how much that rumor ruined my life? You turned everyone against me, Lily. And now you're telling me it ruined your marriage too. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't feel sorry for her. Not yet. I was jealous, okay? She admitted, her voice cracking. I hated how everyone liked you, how you made friends so easily, how you didn't seem to need me the way I needed you. So I let people believe what they wanted. I didn't think it would get so out of hand. Her confession was both satisfying and infuriating. After all these years, she was finally admitting the truth. But it didn't erase the damage she'd done. Why now? I asked, my voice cold. Why tell me all of this now? Because I'm tired, she said, wiping her eyes. Tired of carrying this guilt, tired of feeling like I ruined everything. I know I can't fix the past, but I want to make things right. Somehow, I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to tell her it was too little, too late. But another part of me, the part that still remembered the friend she used to be, wondered if forgiveness was the only way to truly move on. After that meeting with Lily, I couldn't shake the mix of emotions swirling inside me. Her confession felt like vindication, but it didn't erase the years of fallout I'd endured because of her lie. Could I really just accept her apology and move on? The more I thought about it, the more questions nagged at me. If Lily was tired of carrying guilt, why hadn't she tried to make amends sooner? Why had she waited until her marriage crumbled to come clean? Something didn't sit right, and I wasn't ready to let it go. Over the next few days, Lily sent me a flurry of texts. At first, they were apologetic. Thanks for meeting me. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope we can at least talk more. I keep thinking about what I did to you. I'm so sorry, Jason. If there's any way I can fix this, let me know. But then the tone shifted. Have you told anyone about our conversation? I really need this to stay between us. That last message fell off. Why would she care if I told anyone, especially since she claimed she wanted to make things right? My curiosity deepened, and I decided to do something I hadn't done in years. Dig into her life. I started by scrolling through her social media again, this time with a more critical eye. Her posts had always been curated to show the perfect life. Smiling selfies with her husband Ryan, vacation snapshots, inspirational quotes about love and gratitude. But as I went further back, I noticed a shift. About 6 months ago, the tone of her posts became more desperate. She started sharing cryptic messages about trust and betrayal, along with photos of herself alone. The captions were vague, but pointed. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. You can't build happiness on a foundation of lies. It didn't take a genius to figure out that her marriage had been on the rocks long before our meeting. What puzzled me, though, was how much of her turmoil seemed to revolve around me. In one post, she wrote, "Some wounds never heal, no matter how much time passes. I wish I could go back and make different choices." The comments were full of friends offering support, but one caught my attention. It was from Ryan. "Maybe it's time to stop blaming the past and start owning your actions. It was the only comment he'd left on any of her posts. Whatever had happened between them, it was clear that my name wasn't the only factor in their downfall. Still, I needed answers. Against my better judgment, I reached out to Ryan. I found his profile and sent him a simple message. Hey Ryan, this might be random, but I think we should talk. It's about Lily. To my surprise, he responded almost immediately. Jason? Wow. Didn't think I'd hear from you. Yeah, let's talk. You free tomorrow? We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near his work. When I walked in, Ryan was already sitting at a corner table, looking tired but put together. He stood to shake my hand, his grip firm but not overly friendly. Thanks for reaching out, he said, gesturing for me to sit. I've got to admit, I wasn't expecting this. Me neither, I said. But after what Lily told me, I feel like there's more to the story. Ryan leaned back in his chair, his expression a mix of frustration and resignation. Oh, there's a lot more to the story. Where do you want to start? I explained what Lily had told me. Her confession about the high school rumor, her claims of guilt, and her insistence that Ryan's jealousy had been the real issue in their marriage. Ryan let out a bitter laugh. Of course she said that. Classic Lily. Always twisting things to make herself the victim. What do you mean? I asked, my stomach tightening. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Look, Jason, I don't know how much you know about her, but Lily's got this thing. She can't let go of the past. She used to bring you up all the time, comparing me to you, saying how you were her best friend, and no one else could measure up. At first, I thought it was just nostalgia, but then she started blaming me for what happened between you two, saying I wouldn't understand. I frowned. Blaming you? For what? For making her feel guilty, he said. Apparently, she thought about coming clean to you years ago, but I told her it was better to leave it in the past. I didn't want her dredging up old drama and risking our reputation. She agreed. Until recently, Ryan's words hit me like a ton of bricks. Lily had considered apologizing years ago, but chose not to because of her image, and now she wanted to frame it as some noble act of redemption. She said you were paranoid, I said cautiously, that you kept accusing her of being in love with me. Ryan's jaw tightened. She's not wrong. I was paranoid, but not without reason. Do you know what it's like to live with someone who's obsessed with a person they haven't seen in years? I couldn't compete with this fantasy version of you she had in her head. It ate away at me. I didn't know what to say. The idea of being a phantom in someone's marriage, a ghost that haunted their relationship, felt surreal. Ryan leaned forward, his voice low. You're not the villain in this, Jason, but you're not the victim either. Lily's the one who needs to face the truth. And until she does, she's just going to keep dragging people down with her. His words stayed with me long after I left the coffee shop. For the first time, I realized that Lily's lies hadn't just hurt me. They'd hurt her too. And now, they were unraveling her life in ways neither of us could have predicted. Ryan's words played on a loop in my head as I drove home from our meeting. Lily's confession, her obsession, and her self-inflicted chaos. Everything felt like a tangled web I didn't want to be part of, but it was too late. Her choices, her lies, and her guilt had already pulled me in. I spent the evening staring at the ceiling, replaying memories of our friendship, trying to see it through this new lens. Had she always been this way, manipulative and selfish? Or had something shifted over the years? The next morning, my phone buzzed with a new message from Lily. Hey Jason, just wanted to say thanks for meeting me the other day. I really feel like we're on the path to making things right. Her optimism grated on me. After what Ryan had told me, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue this path with her. But something inside me, a mix of curiosity and the need for closure, made me reply. Sure, but if you really want to make things right, you need to own up to everything. Not just with me, but with everyone you lied to. Her response came almost immediately. I knew you'd say that. I've been thinking about it, but I'm scared. What if they don't forgive me? I rolled my eyes. Typical Lily. Always worried about her image, even when she was supposedly trying to atone. They might not, I replied bluntly. But if you're serious about fixing this, you have to take responsibility. The conversation ended there, but it left me uneasy. I didn't trust her motives, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was only reaching out to me now because her life had fallen apart. A few days later, I got a call from Josh. Dude, he said, his voice brimming with excitement. You're not going to believe this. Lily's been talking about hosting a reunion for our old friend group. She wants to clear the air or something. I froze. She said that? Yeah. She messaged a bunch of us in a group chat. Didn't you get the invite? I hadn't. Josh forwarded me the message, and sure enough, Lily was planning some sort of reunion. The message read, Hey everyone, it's been forever since we all hung out, and I think it's time to reconnect. I know high school wasn't perfect, and there are some things I need to own up to, but I hope we can come together and move forward. Let me know if you're interested. I stared at the screen, my stomach churning. This wasn't about reconnecting. It was about saving face. If she really wanted to make amends, why hadn't she included me? Fueled by equal parts anger and determination, I decided to crash the reunion. The event was set for the following Saturday at a local bar. When I arrived, the atmosphere was casual but tense. Familiar faces from high school filled the room, most of them clustered in small groups, nursing drinks and catching up. Lily was at the center of it all, smiling and laughing like nothing was wrong. I waited until she spotted me. Her face froze for a moment before she plastered on a smile and waved me over. "Jason, I didn't know you'd be here," she said, her voice overly cheerful. "Josh told me about it," I said flatly. "Thought I'd stop by." Her smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. "Well, I'm glad you came. This is about healing old wounds, right?" "Funny," I said, crossing my arms, "because it feels like you're just trying to rewrite history." The room went quiet. Conversation stopped, and all eyes turned toward us. "What are you talking about?" Lily asked, her voice shaking slightly. "You said this was about owning up to the past," I said, keeping my voice steady. "So, why don't you start with the rumor you spread about me in high school? Tell everyone the truth." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. People exchanged confused glances, clearly unsure of what was happening. Lily's face turned pale. "Jason, this isn't the time or place." "No," I interrupted. "You don't get to control the narrative anymore. For years, you let everyone think I humiliated you when that never happened. You lied to make yourself look better, and you ruined my life in the process." Her eyes filled with tears, and for a moment I thought she might actually come clean. But instead, she turned to the crowd and said, "I was young and stupid. Okay? I didn't mean for it to go so far." "That's not an apology," I said coldly. "You're still trying to play the victim?" Josh stepped forward, his face a mix of confusion and anger. "Wait, is this true? You lied about Jason rejecting you?" Lily looked around, her tears spilling over now. "I didn't lie. I exaggerated. People assumed things, and I didn't correct them." The room erupted in whispers, and Lily's mask finally cracked. She broke down, sobbing into her hands as her carefully crafted image crumbled before everyone's eyes. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of relief. The truth was finally out, and Lily's hold over me, and everyone else was gone. But as I walked out of the bar, leaving her to face the fallout, I couldn't help but wonder, was this really the end, or just another chapter in her self-made tragedy? Walking out of the bar that night, I felt an unfamiliar sense of release. The truth had finally come out, and for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of Lily's lies alone. But relief quickly gave way to unease. As much as I wanted to leave everything behind, I couldn't ignore the fact that this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next morning, my phone buzzed with messages from people who had been at the bar. Some were apologetic, admitting they believed Lily's story back in high school, but now realized how unfairly I'd been treated. Others were just fishing for gossip, eager to dissect the drama that had unfolded. One message stood out. It was from Josh. "Hey man, you good? Last night was intense. I had no idea Lily lied about all that. A bunch of us are meeting up later if you want to talk." I appreciated the gesture, but I wasn't ready to face everyone again. I still felt raw, like a wound had been reopened, even if it was finally starting to heal. Over the next few days, the fallout from Lily's confession spread like wildfire. It seemed like everyone in our old social circle was talking about what had happened, dissecting every detail and speculating about Lily's motives. One former classmate, Erin, even called me out of the blue. "Jason," she said, her voice tinged with guilt. "I just want to say I'm sorry for believing her back then. I was so caught up in the drama, and I never thought to question it." "It's fine," I said, though it wasn't entirely true. "I just wish people had given me the benefit of the doubt." "Well, you've got it now," she said. "Honestly, Lily's been acting like this for years. It's like she can't let go of high school, and it's finally catching up to her." Erin's words stuck with me. As much as I wanted to move on, I couldn't help but feel like Lily's inability to let go of the past was the root of all this chaos. A few days later, I got an unexpected email from Ryan. "Hey Jason, I heard what happened at the bar. I know we're not exactly friends, but I thought you'd want to know that Lily's been spiraling since the divorce. She's trying to get sympathy by making herself look like the victim again. Be careful." Ryan's warning sent a chill down my spine. As much as I wanted to believe that exposing the truth had put an end to Lily's manipulations, I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't done yet. Sure enough, I started hearing whispers that Lily was telling a new version of the story, one where I had confronted her out of spite, trying to humiliate her in front of everyone. It was maddening. Even after admitting she'd lied, she was still trying to twist the narrative in her favor. I realized then that the only way to truly move on was to take control of the story myself. If Lily wanted to cling to the past, that was her choice. But I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her. I began reaching out to the people who had been affected by her lies, not to relive the drama, but to set the record straight. I didn't need everyone to like me. I just wanted them to know the truth. Surprisingly, most people were receptive. They apologized for believing Lily and said they admired me for standing up to her. It was a small but meaningful victory, one that reminded me of the power of honesty. But as I worked to rebuild my reputation, I couldn't ignore the nagging question that lingered in the back of my mind. What was Lily's endgame? Because if there was one thing I'd learned about her over the years, it was that she never played a losing hand without a backup plan. As the weeks passed, the storm around Lily's lies began to settle, but the damage she'd caused lingered like an open wound. Old friends I hadn't spoken to in years kept reaching out, offering apologies or trying to reconnect. While some of it felt genuine, other messages were transparently self-serving, people fishing for gossip or trying to clear their own consciences. Amid the flood of messages, one stood out. It was from Sam, a guy I'd barely interacted with in high school. "Hey Jason, I wasn't at the bar, but I heard what went down. I think you should know something. Back in senior year, Lily told me not to ask you to join our group project because she said you didn't want to work with me. She claimed you thought I was annoying. I believed her, but now I'm wondering if it was just another lie." Reading that message hit me harder than I expected. How many other opportunities had I lost because of Lily's manipulations? How many friendships, experiences, or chances to prove myself had been derailed by her jealousy and possessiveness? I replied, assuring Sam that I'd never said or thought anything like that about him. But his message planted a seed of doubt that grew the more I thought about it. That same day, my mom called. "Jason, honey, I ran into Lily's mom at the grocery store," she began, her tone cautious. I groaned. "Let me guess. She was defending Lily?" "Not exactly," my mom said. "She actually seemed upset. She said Lily's been struggling and that she blames you for everything falling apart." I let out a bitter laugh. Of course she does. It's easier to blame me than admit she's the one who ruined her own life. "Jason," my mom said gently, "I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But maybe it's time to let this go. Holding on to all this hurt, it's only going to weigh you down." Her words stung because they were true. But how could I let go when Lily was still trying to rewrite history? When her lies were still affecting the way people saw me? "I'll think about it," I said, though I didn't mean it. Not yet. That night, I got another message. This time from Aaron, the former classmate who had apologized to me after the bar incident. "Jason, I just found out Lily's been talking to Ryan again. Apparently, she's blaming you for the divorce now, saying you manipulated her into admitting the truth. Be careful. She's trying to stir things up again." I stared at the message, my blood boiling. Ryan had already warned me about Lily's tendencies, but hearing she was actively trying to drag my name through the mud again pushed me to my limit. For years, I'd let Lily control the narrative. Even after the truth came out, she was still trying to spin her lies into something that benefited her. It was time to stop playing defense. The next morning, I called Ryan. "I need your help," I said without preamble. He sounded wary, but intrigued. "What kind of help?" "Lily's trying to twist everything again," I explained. "She's telling people I manipulated her into confessing, and I'm done letting her get away with this. I want to set the record straight once and for all." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Ryan sighed. "I can't say I'm surprised. Look, Jason, I'll do what I can, but you should know Lily doesn't give up easily. If you go up against her, you need to be prepared for her to fight dirty." "I don't care," I said, my resolve hardening. "She's already dragged my name through the mud for years. It's time to end this." Ryan agreed to meet up later that week to go over everything we knew about Lily's manipulations. Between his insights and the messages I'd been receiving from other classmates, I was confident we could expose her for good. But as determined as I was, part of me couldn't help but wonder if confronting Lily again was the right move. Would it bring closure, or just fuel her obsession further? Either way, I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't keep living in her shadow. If Lily wanted to keep playing games, she was about to find out that I wasn't the same person she could manipulate back in high school. This time, I was ready. Ryan and I met at a quiet cafe the next day. He looked weary, the weight of his years with Lily etched into his face. Still, there was a sharpness in his demeanor, a willingness to see this through, even if it dredged up painful memories. So, he said, setting his coffee cup down. What's the plan? I want to lay everything out, I said. Every lie, every manipulation. People need to know the truth, not just for me, but for anyone else she's hurt. Ryan nodded. You're right. But Jason, you need to understand, this won't just hurt Lily. It'll hurt her family too. Her mom, her siblings. Are you ready for that? His words gave me pause. I hadn't considered the collateral damage, but the thought of holding back made my stomach churn. They'll understand eventually, I said, more to convince myself than Ryan. The truth has to come out. Over the next few days, Ryan and I worked together to piece together a timeline of Lily's actions. He provided messages, photos, and even journal entries from their marriage, showing how her obsession with me had poisoned their relationship. One particularly damning journal entry read, Jason would have understood me better than Ryan ever could. Sometimes I wonder if I chose the wrong person. That's what I lived with, Ryan said bitterly, sliding the notebook across the table. She wasn't just obsessed with you. She was obsessed with this perfect version of you she created in her head. Hearing that felt surreal. I'd spent years trying to move on from Lily's betrayal, only to find out she'd never really let me go. To round out our case, I reached out to others who'd been affected by her lies. Sam, Aaron, and even a few people I hadn't spoken to in years were willing to share their stories. Slowly but surely, a pattern emerged. Lily had spent her life manipulating the people around her to protect her fragile ego. Once everything was compiled, I decided to confront Lily directly. I messaged her, we need to talk. Meet me at the park this Saturday, noon. To my surprise, she agreed without hesitation. Part of me wondered if she thought she could talk her way out of this, convince me to let it go like she always had. When Saturday arrived, I was ready. Ryan came with me for support, standing off to the side as I waited for Lily. She arrived a few minutes late, looking surprisingly calm. Jason, she said with a cautious smile. I wasn't expecting to hear from you so soon. Cut the act, Lily, I said, my voice sharp. We both know why we're here. Her smile faltered, but she quickly recovered. I don't know what you mean. If this is about the bar, I already apologized. This isn't about the bar, I interrupted. It's about everything. The lies, the manipulation, the way you've twisted the truth to protect yourself at everyone else's expense. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, with a deep breath, she tried to spin the narrative once again. Jason, I know I made mistakes, she said, her voice trembling. But I was young. I didn't know how much it would hurt you. I never meant for things to get so out of hand. Stop, I said, holding up a hand. You didn't make mistakes. You made choices. And those choices ruined people's lives, mine, Ryan's, and probably countless others. Her eyes darted to Ryan, who stepped forward, his expression cold. He's right, Lily. You didn't just hurt him. You hurt me too. You destroyed our marriage because you couldn't let go of this fantasy you built around Jason. And now you're trying to blame him for it? Lily's composure finally cracked. Tears welled up in her eyes, but this time, I didn't feel sorry for her. I didn't know what else to do, she said, her voice breaking. I thought if I could just fix things with Jason, everything else would fall into place. You can't fix this, I said firmly. Not with apologies or tears. The only way forward is for you to own up to what you've done and stop dragging people down with you. Lily didn't respond. She stood there, her shoulders slumped, as if the weight of her actions had finally caught up to her. I turned to leave, and Ryan followed. As we walked away, I felt a strange mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and something that felt almost like closure. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking back. But as we reached the edge of the park, Ryan glanced over at me and said, You know she won't stop, right? People like Lily don't just change overnight. I know, I said, my voice steady. But this time, I'm ready for her. In the days following my confrontation with Lily, the ripple effects began to spread. News of our conversation at the park reached our old social circle, thanks to Ryan and a few others who had been waiting for answers. People who had once dismissed my side of the story were now questioning everything Lily had told them. The messages I received were overwhelming. Apologies poured in from classmates who admitted they'd believed Lily's lies back in high school. Some expressed anger, not just at her, but at themselves for being complicit. One message from Aaron stood out. Jason, I can't believe how much damage she caused. I'm so sorry for not standing up for you sooner. If you need anything, support, a witness, whatever, I'm here. It was strange. For years, I'd felt like I was fighting this battle alone. Now, It felt like the tide was finally turning in my favor. But Lily wasn't going down quietly. Just as people began to see the truth, she started posting cryptic updates on social media, painting herself as the victim. It's hard when people twist your words and actions, especially those you cared about most. But I'll keep moving forward. The posts were vague enough to avoid outright accusations, but pointed enough to make her intentions clear. She was trying to manipulate the narrative again, this time using pity as her weapon. Ryan called me one evening, his voice heavy with frustration. "She's doubling down, Jason. People are starting to defend her again, saying we're ganging up on her." "Let them," I said, my resolve firm. "The truth doesn't need defending. If she wants to keep digging herself deeper, that's on her." Ryan sighed. "I wish I had your patience. Dealing with her for so long. She's like a master manipulator. But you're right. Eventually, people will see through it." And they did. A week later, I got an unexpected call from Lily's older sister, Maddie. She'd stayed out of the drama for years, but now, it seemed, she couldn't stay silent any longer. "Jason, I don't know if I should even be calling you," she began, her voice hesitant. "But I need to tell you something." "What is it?" I asked, bracing myself. "It's about Lily. She's always been like this, spinning lies, controlling the people around her. Our whole family knows it, but we've never confronted her because, well, she's fragile. At least, that's the excuse we've always used." Her words hung in the air, heavy with regret. "I'm sorry for what she did to you," Maddie continued. "And I want you to know, you're not crazy. Everything you've felt, everything you've been through, it's real. She's been doing this for years, and it's time someone held her accountable." I thanked Maddie, her words bringing a strange mix of relief and sadness. On one hand, it felt validating to hear someone close to Lily acknowledge the truth. On the other, it was heartbreaking to realize how deeply her behavior had affected those around her. The following days brought even more revelations. Classmates shared stories of how Lily had manipulated them, strained their friendships, and pitted people against each other for her own gain. One person, a guy named Nate, told me about how Lily had spread rumors about his relationship in college, almost causing a breakup. "She thrives on chaos," he said bitterly. "And I'm done letting her win." It felt like a reckoning. Piece by piece, the facade Lily had built over the years was crumbling. But as gratifying as it was to see the truth come to light, I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm wasn't over. Lily had been a master at playing the victim for so long. It was only a matter of time before she tried to turn the tables again. Lily's reaction to the fallout was swift and calculated. She shifted from vague social media posts to full-blown victim narratives, claiming she'd been unfairly targeted by me, Ryan, and anyone else speaking out. One post in particular caught my attention. "It's devastating when people you thought were friends turn against you. I've made mistakes, but haven't we all? Why am I being singled out and vilified?" She knew exactly how to tug at people's emotions, and it worked, at least for some. A few mutual acquaintances began sharing her posts, commenting things like, "Stay strong, Lily," and "Everyone deserves forgiveness." But not everyone was buying it. Maddie, her sister, became one of her most vocal critics. She started commenting on Lily's posts, exposing the lies in real time. "Lily, stop pretending you're the victim. You've hurt people for years, and it's time you take responsibility." The comment section turned into a battleground. Supporters of Lily clashed with people who had experienced her manipulations firsthand. It was messy, but it was also cathartic. For years, Lily had controlled the narrative. Now, it was slipping from her grasp. As the drama unfolded online, Ryan and I decided to take a different approach. Instead of engaging in the chaos, we focused on rebuilding the connections Lily had damaged. We reached out to former classmates, clearing the air and sharing our side of the story when appropriate. To my surprise, most people were receptive. They appreciated the honesty and were eager to move forward. But not everyone was so willing to let go of the past. One evening, I received a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Jason," the voice on the other end said. It was Lily. My stomach tightened. "What do you want, Lily?" There was a pause before she spoke, her voice trembling. "I just want to talk. Please. I feel like my life is falling apart, and I don't know what to do." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to hang up, to protect myself from whatever manipulative game she was playing. But another part of me, a smaller, quieter part, remembered the girl she used to be before everything went wrong. "Lily," I said carefully, "if you're looking for sympathy, you're not going to find it here. You did this to yourself." "I know," she whispered. I don't know how to fix it." Her vulnerability caught me off guard. For years, Lily had been the one in control, weaving lies and pulling strings. Hearing her sound so lost was almost unsettling. You start by being honest, I said finally. Not just with other people, but with yourself. Until you do that, nothing's going to change. She let out a shaky breath. Do you think anyone will forgive me? That's not up to me, I said bluntly. But forgiveness doesn't come without accountability. If you're not willing to face the consequences of your actions, you don't deserve it. The line went quiet for a moment before she spoke again. Thanks, Jason. I know I don't deserve it, but thank you. She hung up before I could respond, leaving me with a mix of emotions I couldn't quite untangle. In the months that followed, Lily faded from the spotlight. Her social media accounts went silent, and she stopped trying to defend herself. Some people speculated she'd moved away. Others thought she was trying to rebuild her life in private. As for me, I focused on moving forward. The friendships I'd rebuilt became stronger than ever, and I found a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. Looking back, I realized Lily's lies had taught me an important lesson. The truth doesn't always win immediately, but it does win eventually. And as far as I was concerned, the past was finally where it belonged, behind me.